So today I'm going to be exploring and looking at how we can actually improve the relationship that we have within ourselves, or the relationship that we have with ourselves. And I'm going to explore that and look at 2 simple ways that we can start loving ourselves. So how to improve the relationship that you have with yourself. Alrighty, so I find it really interesting when people say that self-love is selfish, because the truth is learning to actually love yourself is one of the least selfish things that we can do. Alrighty, and I'm going to talk to you today about why that is, and then teach you a couple of simple ways that you can start working on the relationship with yourself that you have with yourself, and you can start building that self-love today. Hey James, thanks for joining me. Alrighty, so you may think, loving myself is not important, or, I'm just fine. I don't need to love myself. I don't need to, feel anything, at all for myself. So I guess if you take that point of view as such, let me just ask you something. Let me just ask you this. When you're not feeling good about yourself, you're not feeling comfortable within yourself, you're not loving who you are, then who is it that you're constantly consumed with? Who is it that you're constantly thinking about? So you're constantly thinking, am I doing the right thing? Have I upset someone? What is that person saying about me? Am I doing the right thing? What's wrong with me? Am I good enough? So you're constantly consumed with yourself, and you're always focused on yourself, and you're feeling then insecure within who you are. Because our sense of self is then determined by everything around us and everyone around us when we're not feeling good within us. Alrighty, we're scared that something's going to go wrong. We're going to say the wrong thing. We're going to step on someone's toes, and we're going to then end up feeling terrible. And we might then actually confirm a belief that we already have about ourselves. So the story then that we tell ourselves about ourselves. So we find ourselves always judging, always evaluating, always assessing ourselves, and just feeling on edge because we're becoming super hyper-focused on ourselves. Alrighty. Whereas when you look at it from the other perspective, when you're feeling good and when you're feeling comfortable within yourself, you're loving yourself and you're feeling secure within yourself, and you don't actually even really think about yourself in that sense, because you're feeling good, you're feeling secure. You're not focused on what you're doing and if you're doing it right. So think about, I guess, the relationships that you have in your life. So think about the relationships where things are good and you feel secure, you feel solid, and it's a good relationship. So you're not actually worried about it whatsoever. You're not thinking about it constantly. You're simply existing within it, and you feel relaxed and you feel good. And there's a good energy within the relationship and a good energy within yourself. Versus on the other side, those we all have them. We've got some relationships in our lives where things feel hard, things feel tedious. You feel unstable. There's lots of ups and downs. You feel insecure within the relationship. You're always thinking, what are they thinking about me? Oh my God, are they going to leave me? Did I do this right? Did I say that right? Have I hurt their feelings? What did they think about that? You feel anxious, you feel nervous, you feel on edge. You feel as if you're walking on eggshells. Now, the same goes for ourselves, and when we're actually feeling good about us. We don't feel like that, and we don't even have to think about what we're doing as such, because it's not necessary. We're just existing within our world and, being the best that we can be when we're feeling comfortable within ourselves. So we feel good, so we can now focus our attention, our energy on, going out and contributing, cultivating, connecting and sharing with people. There's a lot of C's in there. Creating, so we're doing things that offer ourselves more value, and we're offering more value to the world around us in that space as well, rather than actually worrying about whether we're good enough or whether we're lovable enough. Alrighty. So now let's talk about how to build that relationship within ourselves and how to actually build that self-love. Alrighty, because we want to improve the relationship with, or the relationship that we have with ourselves, to then be able to feel good within, everything around us, because it then doesn't matter anymore. Because we feel good within us, we don't then focus on everything else around us. We simply exist, and it feels good. And a lot of the time we can actually be doing things that are pulling us further away from our true self and further away from what we actually believe in that sense. And we may not even realizing these small little things that we're doing that actually pull us further away from having that healthy relationship with ourselves and building that self-love within ourselves. Alrighty, so the first thing I want to talk about that builds that self-love is actually making and keeping promises to ourselves. So I can bet that you're probably really good at keeping promises and making promises and then keeping promises when it comes to other people. But how is it that you are when it's coming to yourself? So when you make those promises to yourself, are you someone that keeps those promises? Or are you someone that then, will say that you're going to start something or, do something new, but then you say, you know what, I'll do that tomorrow. Or, hey, I think I might, I'll start that next week. So what that then does is actually it starts to break and erode the trust that we have within ourselves and the trust that we have for ourselves. Alrighty, and we tend to then think, oh, it doesn't really matter if I break my promise to myself because, no one's listening, no one will know, no one's going to even notice because they didn't even know that I had that promise to myself. But do you know who is listening? You're listening, and your brain is listening as well. And your brain will then pick up on this, so that mind will pick up and actually then start to tell yourself, oh, well, I guess keeping promises isn't important to us. And if it's not important to us, or keeping promises to ourselves isn't important to us, then we mustn't be important to us. So it actually becomes like almost a vicious cycle in a sense that if you're making a promise to yourself, you're then not keeping that promise. And then because of those actions, your brain is then picking up on that and, focusing in on that and then thinking, well, they're not prepared to keep a promise to themselves, so they mustn't feel that they're important. Alrighty. And it's really hard to then love someone when you don't think that they're important. I mean, you know yourself, people within your life that you don't necessarily think are overly important, then you don't always have a lot of love for them. It's not to say that you don't like them or you don't have some sort of, acquaintance or friendship or anything for them. But if you're not thinking that they're important, then you're not focusing and giving them a lot of your time and a lot of your love to them. So revert that back to yourself in that sense. If you're not finding, making those promises and keeping them and thinking then that you're important, then, thinking that the promises and, keeping those promises are important, then you're not believing that you are important within yourself. Alrighty. Now, on another note, we can sometimes go to the extreme, we actually make and try to keep unrealistic promises with ourselves in that sense. We might, try and start something new and think, oh, I'm going to get up at 4 a.m. this morning, and I'm going to do my meditation, my journaling, make my super smoothie. I'm going to do an exercise session and, be cranking and ready to go, and super enthusiastic and super excited and excitable by 6 a.m. Like, is that an actual realistic expectation? Or is that a realistic promise to keep to yourself? And especially if you're not used to getting up at 4 a.m., you just can't do it overnight. Like, you can't click your fingers and just do it overnight in that sense. You've got to then work into it and set yourself up, make a plan and actually set yourself up for success in that sense. Alrighty, because we can't go from 0 to 100 just like that. Alrighty, it's hard for our brain to then keep up with that and be able to do that. It becomes really overwhelming, and then we're more likely to just not do it at all. Hey Matt, how you doing? Thanks for joining me. So, our brain will then say, oh, this is way too hard. I'm not doing this anymore. And then we just don't do anything. And then we feel bad within ourselves for not doing something at all. So just be careful in regards to those unrealistic promises as well. So it's all about then making just small adjustments and small promises to yourself to begin with that you're able to keep, so it's achievable for you to keep, and the promises that you can follow through on. Alrighty, so start small to then build that trust up within yourself, to really start cultivating that love and that nurturing for self, which is going to really help to improve that healthy relationship. Build a healthy relationship with yourself, about yourself. And you know what? We love people that say that they're going to do something and then they follow through with it. Alrighty? We love people that we can rely on, and we love people that we can trust. So be one of those people for yourself. For now, it doesn't matter about anyone else around you in that sense. Just be that person for yourself. Be the person that you can rely on for yourself, because that's really empowering and really, for you to build a healthy relationship with yourself and really improve the relationship with yourself, you need to show yourself love. You need to show yourself kindness. Alrighty? And that may be something that you're not fully aware of that you're doing, making these promises to yourself, and then just, you're putting it down to saying, oh, I'll start that next week, or, oh yeah, I'll do that tomorrow. That's first steps of actually making those promises to yourself and then actually keeping them. Alrighty? So the focus here is to make the small promises and keep them, and then do that often. Alrighty? Repeat the behavior so it becomes then second nature to you, and you can then get into the groove of actually fulfilling the promises that you make to yourself. Alrighty? So number 2, the second tip here. Hey Gina, thanks for joining me. Listening to yourself and your needs. So another way that we can really improve the relationship that we have with ourselves is actually listening to ourselves and listening to our needs, and then actually respecting that. Alrighty, and what I'm talking about here is being able to identify when you really need to start listening to yourself or to your body in this space. You might be getting to a point where you're feeling burnt out, where you're doing a whole heap of stuff, and you feel as if you just need to take a step back. So it's really important in those scenarios that you actually trust yourself enough to listen to what is best for you in that scenario and in that situation. You might need to actually start lowering your expectations, because sometimes having really high expectations of other people or of ourselves, even of ourselves, is where we can find ourselves getting a little bit, a little bit in trouble in that sense. And it goes back to then, making promises to yourself. So what I was talking about to begin with, just start small. So don't have these huge things all the time that you're putting pressure on yourself to achieve if you realize that that's not always achievable. Alrighty? Because we do need to set boundaries. We do need to be able to say no. Alrighty? And that's a big one as well. So listening to what you need, and then blocking out the noise outside of that, alrighty? So actually listening to what you need and how that's going to serve you in that space, alrighty? And getting comfortable with actually saying no to people if it means saying yes to you. Don't don't not say yes to someone else if it then means saying no to you. Alrighty, just make sure that you're nurturing and looking after where you are at the place where you are and listening to what you need and your body needs in that sense. Alrighty, so not just saying, oh, well, I'll do it anyway. You know, I don't want to disappoint someone, you know, when someone asks you to do something or asks for your help, you know, instead of saying, and, you know, you might be, you know, run down, feeling burnt out, extra tired, but you say, oh, I'll do it anyway because I really want to help you and I really don't want to let you down or I don't want to disappoint you. But is that you saying yes at the detriment of yourself in that space? Alrighty, and that's what I mean when I say it's about listening to yourself and your needs and what you actually need in that moment. Alrighty, so instead of saying everyone else needs me, how about turning it around and saying, hey, right now I need me and I need, you know, some love and some care from me. And, you know, it's about saying no to others sometimes to say then yes to us about what we need. Alrighty, and also just being okay with saying no to someone else. So that's where those boundaries come in, setting up those boundaries so that you know, or you can identify and feel when you're getting burnt out, when you're feeling stressed, and you can actually say no to someone, which means that you're saying yes to you. Alrighty, and then you're actually really helping to build that relationship and improve that relationship that you have with yourself, about yourself. And these little things start to then build and build and build so that you're really nurturing yourself and caring for yourself and starting to trust and love yourself. And that's what it's about, improving the relationship that you have with yourself, about yourself. Alrighty. So they're my top 2 tips, guys, to really help you to improve the relationship that you have with yourself, about yourself, and start loving yourself for everything that you are, because you are amazing, you are deserving, and you are worth every bit of that love that you give out so freely to everyone else. It's time to start giving it quite freely to you. Alrighty guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you found some benefit in it, please hit the thumbs up or send me some love. I love having you join me, so thank you so much for the people that have joined me today. I appreciate your time. If you've got any questions, please pop them below, or if you'd like me to explore anything that will help you in your health and fitness journey, health and well-being journey, I would love for you to pop it down below so that I can explore that and really help you to move forward. Alrighty guys, I hope you have the best day.